Hello, everyone. Welcome to. Oh,
there, go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're more together.
Oh, because you missed me, buddy. Now we're back in the same room, huh?
Yeah.
After having
wearing the same clothes again. Because there's somebody.
Matt's going to be very happy about this.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Great to see so many of you already in the chat. Welcome to another edition of Check-In. I am Sara Oleski. He is Jamie Thomas, and we are getting you ready for this game tonight. Game 58, the Winnipeg Jets versus the San Jose Sharks. It is a quiet night in the NHL schedule, so if you're going to watch NHL, you're going to watch this game here tonight. One of only 2 games on the schedule.
Yeah, just Vegas and Vancouver, I believe the other one, or something.
Yes.
Like Pacific Division battle. And of course, so we're going to have to get one of our guests right away. So, but we're going to show you who's going to be on the show first. Jeff O'Neill.
Looking forward to this one here tonight. The Jets come in having won 9 straight. We're going to ask Jeff O'Neill from TSN, obviously analyst, co-host of the very popular show Overdrive. Co-host.
Yeah,
Is that how you do it when there's 3 hosts?
Right.
So looking forward to having Jeff on as well. And then Drew Remenda, who has been on with us before, one of our absolute favorites, to talk a little bit about the Sharks as well. But as I mentioned, the Jets come in having won 9 straight. San Jose played last night, a 3-2 loss against Calgary. So looking forward to being able to see the Jets back on home ice.
So let's go back to the game on Saturday. First game back for everybody in the National Hockey League extended break. They play the St. Louis Blues. And here's the thing with the Jets. They're never out of it. We learned a valuable lesson. In case you forgot, they go down 3-2 to St. Louis late in the hockey game. They come back and tie it up, win in a shootout. But the way things transpired in the third period, they get the double minor to Neil Pionk. Haven't seen that in a while. 2 penalties back-to-back. So they get back-to-back power plays for the Blues. St. Louis takes the lead. Jets kill off that second penalty to Neil Pionk, and then, of course, get the tying goal courtesy of Gabe Vilardi. And how about Kyle Connor? Comes from the Four Nations face-off, has 10 shots on goal, leads everybody in that department, of course, scores a shootout winner. So another tremendous win for the Jets, who at that point had taken back first place from the Washington Capitals. Washington won again yesterday over Edmonton, so they're back in first place overall in the National Hockey League standings. Jets can fix that again here with a win tonight against San Jose.
Yeah, if you had told me that at this point in the season, not only that the Jets would be going back and forth between first and second in terms of league overall numbers, but then also that Washington would be the team that they are constantly leapfrogging back and forth with, I would not have believed it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and not so much from the Jets' perspective, but just Washington keeps winning.
Yes.
And just a tremendous hockey team this year. And Alexander Ovechkin closing in a little bit more. We're trying to figure out if he's going to break that record or he's going to be around the record by the time Washington gets here in late March. That's what we'll be watching for. But in the meantime, we have something else to go with right now as the Jets have won 9 in a row, looking for 10 straight. 9 in a row is a franchise record, so they keep adding to that. It's just been a great year.
Yes, it absolutely has. Wait to see. Jeff O'Neill is going to join us just momentarily, but just before we get into that, let's talk very quickly about this morning with morning skate.
Right.
So last game in St. Louis, we know that some obviously didn't play. Connor Hellebuck didn't play. Josh Morrissey did not play. He came back to Winnipeg as well after being ill.
Mm-hmm.
For it, he is going to return to the lineup this evening.
Yeah, let's take a look at that lineup. There is Josh Morrissey slotting in beside his regular defense partner, Dylan DeMello. Kyle Connor, who played obviously on Saturday with Scheifele and Vilardi. Not many changes. We're still waiting to see when Morgan Barron's going to return to the lineup. Apparently he's going to be close, could play Ottawa or in Nashville on this weekend. And then the other return to action is Connor Hellebuck.
All right. Yes. And Hellebuck has played. This is the third and final meeting between San Jose and the Jets. Hellebuck has started all 3 now games. And Winnipeg, this is the opportunity tonight that they would be able to win this season series. Now, how about this? They've never swept this season series with the Sharks since relocation. And they won the earlier 2 meetings, 8-3, 4-3 as well. 6 of the 12 goals that they have scored have been on the power play. We know the banter power play for the Winnipeg Jets. So we'll look to see whether or not they can continue that here this evening.
Well, it's just, I mean, there's just so many ways to describe about how great the season is. And I think, you know, when you go away from as long as they did because of the Four Nations face-off break, you forgot some that they had won 8 straight. And then, of course, it goes to 9. So what we have not forgotten about is our first guest.
I'm so excited for this one.
I know. This is
he knows. I'm a big fan.
He's the prime minister of the Adam Lauer Fan Club. He is Jeff O'Neill.
How you doing, O?
How are you doing, guys? I just had my second nervous breakdown in 24 hours because yesterday I was driving in for the Leafs game and I saw this thing on my maps in my car and I'm like, it went red. So it means like sometimes it lies to you where the red disappears and it's normal traffic. And I kind of was tight on time. And as soon as I entered the red, it said arrival time at TSN at 6:30. And I was like, okay, that's not good because I have to be on the air at 6:30. So I veered across 4 lanes of traffic to the detour. And that was my first exhibition of stress. And then I was just on my laptop trying to connect for this thing. And for some reason, I'm not a technical person. It's like you have too many, I don't know, apps or something to access your camera. I'm just like, why is that happening to me? I don't need that. So I went to the last resort and got my phone and used my phone. So I hope it's okay as far as picture and sound and everything.
It is tremendous. Oh, and we appreciate you going to the extra effort because we are so happy to have you on here. Because when I think about national media, you have been a supporter of the Jets for a long time. And I know that every season you go into it saying, okay, not this year, not this year. They have, I've supported them every year and it's been unfortunate exits in the postseason. But when you look at this Jets team, are you optimistic that this could be the year that the Jets reward you?
Sarah, the one thing I'll give them credit for is that they've been good for a long time. Mm-hmm. Because everybody talks about in pro sports the windows of opportunity to win. And it's like, I mean, you see some different sports like football or basketball. It's like some team's window is like 2 or 3 years. And it's so difficult to win. But you got to give the Jets credit for one thing. And that's they've been good for a long time. And year after year, I kind of buy in. Even last year, I'm like, man, remember last year they went on a stretch of games where they were just dominating 2-1 and 3-2 wins. I'm like, man, that is a recipe for success in the playoffs. I am back all in on the Jets and let's do this thing. And then they had the disappointment against Colorado. And it's like, how are they going to respond to that? And sure as heck, they come back and they're the best team in the National Hockey League again. So you got to give them also credit for having the poise to bounce back the way they have. And to be back on a roll and look like one of the best teams in the league. And once again, I'm all in on the Jets, so I'm excited about it. You just hope that, people talk about scar tissue all the time, like the upsets and disappointments of the past. Can that like elevate you and, your motivation and your desperation to win, like to get you over the hump? Guys like Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, like to be through those disappointments, can that fuel you to say, I don't want that to happen again? You'd have to think that they're going to have a pretty good chance.
Jeff, I think, you look at a tournament like the Four Nations Face-Off, which I saw you in Montreal. It's great to see you.
Yeah.
How about the springboard that you can use from a tournament like this for Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, and Connor Hellebuck, where they have more belief in themselves to continue forward here and help the Jets in the playoffs?
I think just playing in the situations. By the way, I was a big proponent of Mark Scheifele. I don't know how he was left off that hockey team. He's one of my favorite players in the league. And there's just no chance. They were rotating some guys in and out. I don't think Mark Scheifele would ever be a guy that rotates. He's just so good. So I'll just leave that as it is. But when you're around those guys, I think it's just picking up little habits as individual. Obviously for the Canadian players or the American players, just look at how a guy prepares for a game. I mean, whether it be a goaltender, a defenseman, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, you can just pick up little things. And then obviously you see what works. And the whole hockey world is starting to understand yet again that pressure hockey and big time hockey, best on best or Stanley Cup playoffs, first round of playoffs, I think everybody's starting to realize that the fancy stuff and all the skill stuff is great and everything, but it doesn't ultimately work in really tight competitive hockey games. You need some grown men to go out there and do some grown men things. And that's the gritty things and the things that aren't easy. the skill and all the other stuff might get you a bunch of points during the regular season. But I always think that hockey, of all major sports, is the one that like completely flips when it comes playoff time, because it's just a different game and it's a lot more physical and every piece of ice is contested. And you got to have some big boys to step up and make plays under those circumstances. There's no question.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you about Alexander Ovechkin, what we continue to see from him. Before you came on, I had mentioned that I would not have guessed going into this season that the top two teams in terms of points in the league would be, at this point, the Jets and the Capitals. But here we are, and you look at what Ovechkin continues to do. I mean, just coming in off of a hat trick, now 13 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky's mark for most goals. Do you think he gets it done this season?
Sarah, I went from saying he's not going to do this period years ago to now I'm going to say, of course he's going to get this done. I don't know. I'm not exactly up to date on Washington's schedule. You know, there's all this thing coming down the stretch, how easy or hard or difficult people's schedules are. But you got to think, if he rips home a couple more hat tricks, and he's going to have like every opportunity come empty net time because they're so comfortably in the playoffs, I think he's going to do it. And I just hope that he doesn't do it, and then that's the end of Ovi this year, and he kind of walks away. I think it would be so fun to kind of build up next season, but I'm sure Ovi's thinking, I'm 39 years old. Let's get this wrapped up, and then we'll decide on our future. Full credit to him to think that a guy that big and strong and play as physical he has for as long as he has, to continue to go out there and do it and be an impact player and score goals. Because once guys start fading away, the production is the main thing you look at. And they're like, yeah, that guy's just not that good anymore. And you're just not saying that about Ovi at 39. And that's still pretty cool. And I also give the coach a ton of credit, because it wouldn't be as easy for Ovi to be doing this if the Capitals were terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the Chicago Blackhawks, how bad they were. Can you imagine Ovi on Chicago trying to break this record? He might not get it done. So the management staff and the coaching staff in Washington have done a heck of a job kind of supporting Ovi, not just for his individual record, but for the team to be atop the NHL in the standings as well. So they've kind of accomplished both things here at the same time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be watching. The only Canadian game left on their schedule in terms of road trips is here in Winnipeg, actually, in March.
Quick question before I let you go. At Four Nations Face-Off, you were at the podium. You had a chance to introduce John Cooper as he's entering into the pod area. Why did you back down?
I was a chicken, Jamie. I introduced all of my TSN colleagues.
And you were doing a great job. You were on a roll.
I know.
It was the best.
I got to be honest with you. I got scared because I thought somebody from the league or some kind of like security guy was going to tell me to get out. And then my TSN colleagues would hate me and be embarrassed. So I turned into a chicken and a wimp. So I didn't do it.
Oh, you are the best. I want to hear more about that story afterwards.
Yes,
we appreciate it so much. You not only spending the time, but with the technical challenges early on that you were able to take the extra time and figure it out and join us. We always appreciate it. We hope that we're going to see you here. Like, bring the show out here. We had Hayes on the other day.
Bring it.
We've got him buying into Noodles. Will come on out here. Do Overdrive on the road.
I've been begging to do Overdrive on the road, but nobody seems to want to send us on the road. So I will continue to work on it. My idea at the beginning of the season was to do a cross-country road trip and stop in at all the Canadian markets on the way and get an update in training camp, see how everybody's doing. And it was just flushed down the toilet with the rest of my ideas. So maybe next year.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I am on board with it. Thank you so much. Oh, we really appreciate it.
Okay, you guys. Great to be with you. Cheers.
See you, pal.
It was Jeff O'Neill from TSN, one of the co-hosts.
Oh my God.
Of Overdrive.
You would have died. It was because we were there. It was attached to the Brossard, Quebec, is the location of the Montreal Canadiens practice facility. So part of it is has a indoor soccer setup. They have pods set up for all the coaches, players when they come out of the dressing room. And O-Dog was sitting at a podium, entered James Duthie from blah, 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 Brian Rashog from Edmonton, Alberta. And he was going to introduce John Cooper. And as he said, I was dying. Like Duffy had he was taping it and he bailed.
Oh.
It was like, but I was dying. It was so perfect. But I can understand because you're right. You don't know who's going to take it the wrong way. But he was doing such a great job with the introduction. So I was hoping John Cooper was going to get a good one.
Well, happy that he was able to join us.
Yes.
And he has been such a supporter, as I mentioned, of the Jets for a long time. He is a huge Adam Lowry fan. You might remember from when Lowry was named captain that both Jay Onright and Jeff O'Neill are huge Lowry fans. So we had sent them. Oh, do you have it?
Yeah, I'm gonna I can't have my messages on here because
that's trouble.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I say nice things to everybody, but just hold on. I was like, hold on.
If you might remember, anyways, the two of them were big fans, so they've always been big supporters of the Winnipeg Jets. And anyways, and of Adam Lowry. So hopefully one day we'll be able to see the guys. That's a great idea for Overdrive. If you watch them on TSN, you can listen to them on TSN radio, but then you can watch them. They're streamed on TSN as well.
Yeah, they do a great job. Good show.
So a great show. Okay, before we get Drew Remenda on here in just a little bit, let's take a look back at the last game and that shootout win. First time that we've seen them shoot out. But let's talk about the top line in particular with the Jets. I mean, they've been such a focal point throughout this season. Then you look, I think that why don't we start with Gabriel Velarde and what he was able to do in that game, picking up, wondered what it was going to look like. You've been off for a couple of weeks, picking up where he left off.
Yeah, just on the first goal that he scored, it's a great pass from Mark Scheifele that he knocks out of the air and then puts it past the goaltender, Joel Hofer from, of course, the Winnipeg guy, for his first goal. And the second goal was when the Jets had pulled the goaltender. They're trying to tie the game, and it's a shot from the point. He's just got such great hands. He's so good in front of the net. And I think we've said this ad nauseum about how great he is in that position. Those type of goals that he scores are the ones you have to score in the playoffs. And when he's healthy, that's what the Jets need and kind of have missed over the years. But he's healthy, ready to go. Hopefully he stays that way. But that top line continues to drive things. And we already talked about Kyle Connor having 10 shots on goal.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you ask for a guy that comes from the Four Nations face-off to produce the way he did?
You mentioned those shots and kind of the bread and butter for Velarde this year. 21 of his 26 goals have been from high danger locations. He's got a 33.3% shooting percentage.
Yeah. You almost see, remember when we had Greg Wyszynski on, he's like, a lot of things the Jets are doing are unsustainable.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable? That's the question.
Well, and look at the way that he's continued to be able to do it. Mark Scheifele, one away. We've said this before. He is tied. He is one goal away from setting a new franchise record and passing Ilya Kovalchuk. So we will see whether or not that happens. It would be so great if it was able to happen. You know it's going to happen in the next, if not tonight, in the next couple of games. It would be great if it was able to happen here at home in front of Jets fans at Canada Life Center. And then you mentioned Casey, what more could you do? 10 shots of the team's 28 scores the shootout winner. And he spoke to the media earlier today because there was so much discussion. You and I had talked about it on Saturday, but really across the league, you had heard with hockey media, you had listened to people comment on why was Kyle Connor not in the lineup for that final game against Canada? Why was he a healthy scratch? And today was the first time that he spoke to the media since returning from the Four Nations face-off.
For sure, frustrating. I felt I could have made an impact, obviously, and the tournament personally wasn't obviously what I forecasted. It's and stuff like that happens. It's such a short tournament. Obviously, they went a different route, and I'm obviously proud to be a part of that team. And the outcome didn't matter. I was still super disappointed. I was rooting for those guys. It's such a short time, but you come together as a team, and I felt with that team we really bonded. We're out every night hanging out together. You shared that chemistry of going into Montreal and being the bad guys, and obviously coming out with a win. So I think it was a really tight knit group, and it's like I said, it's a learning experience. It's something that you just motivates you to get better and get back on that stage and know that you can make a difference.
I think Kyle, you to think is going to be on that Olympic team next year as well with opportunity. So I think that motivation, we have talked about how it had motivated Mark Scheifele, whether he wants to talk about it or not, the fact that he wasn't named to it. Josh Morrissey has spoken about how when you were there, he had said, the biggest takeaway probably is that I want to do it again. It's an adrenaline rush that I've never experienced in my career. He tried to soak it all in, and hopefully it helps our team going forward. So I think that there was so much to gain, as we talked with Jeff O'Neill about as well, with them having the opportunity to be there.
Before we bring in Drew Remenda, listen, this is seriously the first time I've felt the Americans have threatened Canada on top of the podium as best hockey nation. That's I know Russia's played a role in this a lot of times, but this is the United States played in the final in 2010, the Olympics, 2002, but the Americans are coming. Like, they're at that peak right now. So I felt that win was just so huge for Canadian hockey in so many different ways. But you can understand why Kyle Connor was disappointed he wasn't able to play in the game as the highest scoring American-born player in the NHL right now. So anyways, I digress. We'll get into it.
We're going to wrap it up after today. No more Four Nations.
Yeah, we can. I don't know. We will.
You're just going to have to. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'll remember. Okay. Drew will remember the time where I was right, where I spoke freely and honestly and was right about everything. Drew Remenda. Ladies and gentlemen. Listen, you can keep it together a little bit better than that. But it's
hell of an introduction right there, Jamie. Good job, buddy. Way to go.
Welcome to Winnipeg. No morning skate for the Sharks. They lose last night in Calgary. Mm-hmm. How do the Sharks bounce back from a challenging loss to the Calgary Flames last night?
I don't know. They've only won 6 games on the road this year.
Yeah.
When we look at the Sharks, we look through a different lens, obviously, than you two and the rest of Winnipeg and the NHL looks at the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, you are judged on wins and losses. That's just the way the game is, and that's what it should be. It's professional sports. But for the Sharks, we know where they are is in the standings. We know what they're doing right now as far as trying to rebuild back to the team that they were when Joe Thornton, Patty Marleau, and Danny Boyle and Brent Burns and Evgeny Nabokov, and we're winning a ton of games through 10, 12 years. The team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals, those were very good teams, but this isn't that team. So right now they're measuring in really, I think, guys, individual performances and consistency. Now the consistency thing is everybody throws that word around. So I asked Ryan Warsofsky yesterday, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Like, everybody says consistency, but specifically, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, we have to get to a point where we are playing to our identity. So the next question was, okay, everybody says identity. What the hell's the identity of this team? And that's where it gets interesting. They want to be a north-south team. They want to be a hard forechecking team. They want to be a team that gets around the puck in numbers, 5 guys in every zone. They want to be good defensively. Doesn't everybody? So that's what they've been preaching since training camp. So how you bounce back, going back to your original question, and a usual long-winded answer by me, you look at it from, are they doing the things they need to do in order to improve on a daily basis? And they played well last night. They played hard last night, but took too many penalties. And there's always one time during the game where there's a letdown, and it's usually defensively, and it ends up in the back of the net.
When the Sharks were here earlier this season, we didn't have the opportunity to see Macklin Celebrini. He was sidelined at that point. Yeah. What is it that stands now, having watched him through so much of this season, Drew? What is it that stands out to you? How is he acclimatized to the NHL game?
He's amazing. Sarah, he's absolutely amazing. And you look at his game. He's 18 years old, and you keep forgetting that sometimes. But as far as the 200-foot player, I know it's crazy. Hey, on a side note, when you're old, when the Father's Trip used to happen back in the day when I was assistant coach, I was younger than the Fathers. Then, as I was a broadcaster, I was the same age as the Fathers. Now I'm older than the Fathers. Anyway, sorry, side note. I see you couldn't tell that I was old.
Yeah, gerbils are turning.
Exactly. But Macklin is, as far as the 200-foot player goes, there's not much to not like in his game. He's a dynamic offensive player. He hustles. He drives the net. He controls the puck. He is a guy that, when he first started I think it was the first game against St. Louis. He was 3 for 10 on faceoffs. Since then, he's around 48, 49% throughout the year. He's a guy that defensively cares. His mind is so quick, and he's like Connor McDavid, not Connor McDavid, but he's like Connor McDavid in the fact that he's always skating with his head up. Always. Watch him tonight, and you'll notice that when he gets the puck, his head is up all the time. But I look at him, and I think to myself, there had to be something there. His dad, as everybody knows, Rick Celebrini, who was the director of medicine and high performance for the Golden State Warriors. Macklin, for a while, early in his life, for when he was 14 or 15, he was around those championship teams with a dad that knew what to show his son.
Yes.
And so, Draymond Green is a close family friend, and he was around the championship teams, and he saw those great players and as they were. So I think mentally that certainly helped shape the maturity that he shows on the ice. Off the ice, he's still 18 years old. He and Will Smith, they're kids, for crying out loud. There's once in a while, they play this dumb little soccer game just themselves outside our office in San Jose, and they ring the soccer ball off the wall and off the glass all the time. And then, so I have to come out like a dad and go, do I have to call your parents? And they go, for what? For what? What are you talking about? Exactly.
Put that down.
It's so that part's great, but his game on the ice is nothing short of dynamic.
All right. Trade deadline's coming up.
Yeah.
How much of a role are the San Jose Sharks be involved in that whole scheme on March 7th?
I think they will be. And I think it's probably going to happen on this trip we were talking about. Mike Greer has shown he's gaining assets. He is making sure that there's contract space when they want to start to add. I think they've next year projected around $33 million contract space, so they're going to need to add. But he is going to, I think, be active. He's going to try to be active. You guys know as well as I do that it's the dance partner sometimes says no to you. Jesus, I know that from high school. Thank you. I'll be here all week. So when you look at the team, there's some guys out there, and it breaks my heart because Nico Sturm's on the last year of his contract, and I love Nico Sturm, and Nico Sturm has been fantastic for the Sharks. He's coming back from an injury, but he has been the ultimate professional, ultimate leader, Stanley Cup champion with Colorado. But Nico's name is out there. Nico said the other day he's probably going to get moved. There's talk about maybe Mario Ferraro, who's been just a warrior for the Sharks. Some really good guys traded Cody Ceci and Granlund. Traded Blackwood.
Right.
The Sharks have won 5 games since they traded Blackwood. So it hurts. There's some short-term pain. We hope short-term pain for some long-term gain coming up. But I think Mike's in a situation where this might be the last time they're going to trade guys for assets, because they're going to have to start to build. They're going to have to start to add, because you're seeing some good things, really good things. But by the end of this trip, we might be a much younger team.
Interesting.
Well, buddy, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks, as you always say yes.
Did you tell Sarah? Did you tell Sarah why I said yes?
Yeah, he said.
No, you didn't. You liar.
He's gonna make something up right now.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna quote you. Hold on. Keep going. Sarah, just keep talking. I gotta find the text.
Yes, go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, I said yes, but only
because of Sarah.
Only because of Sarah.
He said only because of Sarah. That's what it was.
And then he got his feelings hurt.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
It tends to.
But then I told him, I'm actually just jealous of your looks, Jamie, and your talent.
Mostly you said mostly hair, though.
Mostly hair, yeah.
I thought you were going to say teeth.
Yeah.
Another one to add to the list. Plus, he was at the Four Nations. I mean, he's just.
And he said he was being passive aggressive, which is fine. Which
that's what I am at 62 years old. That's my MO.
Drew, you are the best. We always love having you on. This is the final. This is the final time that these two teams will meet this season. But we hope that you will be willing. We hope that you will be willing to join us in future seasons as well, because we
anytime
love chatting with you.
Love you too. Love you both. Both,
Oh,
Jamie. Just so we love you
better
both.
now.
That was a quick recovery, Drew. I'm gonna let that one go. I have a lot of respect for you.
Thanks, Drew.
Love that
Okay.
hotel room. Don't leave it. Talk to you later.
Drew Remenda, an all-time classic, and we heard him for years on Saskatchewan radio as well.
Oh my! How does he do everything he does? Like he's on the Green Zone and does the Sharks broadcast.
He did that for many years. All right. Okay. Very quickly as we get close to winding up, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did catch up with Dylan Samberg just a short
Busy
while
man
ago.
on Saturday.
Yes.
Played a lot.
Hey, career high in minutes, 26 minutes and 40 seconds, I believe.
And change.
And
he spent some time with Sarah Lesky.
Here's Dylan.
How long did it feel it took to be able to get back into the groove of game action?
It definitely takes some time. Kind of feels like the first game of the season all over again to a certain degree. But I felt like after the first, you get the nerves out again, you settle down, and then you start playing hockey again.
Okay, so you play a career high in minutes in the game too, over 26 and a half minutes. What is the difference between 26 and a half minutes, maybe your average of about 21? How different does it feel?
I was pretty exhausted after the game, to be honest with you. Usually I'm not playing in overtime, so that was something different. But not going to complain. We're playing more.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think of it with OT? Did you like it?
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's usually you're sitting there on the bench watching and cheering you guys on, and to be out there, and it was pretty exhilarating. Different experience.
How different did it feel out there? I mean, Josh Morrissey is one of those players that's so rarely out of the lineup. It feels like for you guys to not have him out there. How different was that for your group?
It definitely felt weird. It felt different 'cause ever since I've been here, I don't think he's missed too many games. So, but he's obviously a big part of our lineup and our power play there. So we're excited to have him back.
You get 9 straight games now that you guys have been able to get the win, franchise record. Guys picked up and are looking to continue to roll after this break as well. What is the key for that stretch to continue? Because we know that Scott O'Neill has talked a lot about how obviously the intensity gets ratcheted up now that we're finished with the 4 Nations break.
I think just focusing on ourselves. That's what we've been doing all year, no matter who the opponent is. And we've had success with that, and we're having fun right now, and we're looking to keep that going.
What's the most fun that you guys are having with this group?
We have a very, very good locker room. You keep things light, but when you get to the ice, it's business. So you have a good sides to that.
How much are you responsible for keeping things light?
I like to keep things light. I like to have fun, but there's a lot of other guys here that feel the same way, and you can have fun to a certain degree, but then you still got to have a business side of you.
Absolutely. Just key for tonight, going up in San Jose, first game back at home, and actually your only game back at home for the next few games.
Yeah, no, we're excited to be back home. Obviously, good to be back in front of our home fans.
Yeah.
And it'll be a big one tonight, especially San Jose's coming up with back-to-back, so it's important to get off to a good start.
Thanks so much for the time. I always appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarah.
Here's a very good point. Every time Sarah does this ringside interview stuff with players on the ice,
I
she
know.
always fears she's going to take one in the back of the head.
That's, actually, so very quickly, I almost took one to the back of the head in the press box a couple of games ago. I have no idea how, but I was doing the pregame show, so my back is to the ice, but we're up in the press box.
Yeah, we're pretty high up.
I have no idea how, but this puck got deflected up and hit the plexiglass just right beside me.
Might have been me. I don't know.
Never mind. That would make a lot more sense. Just
like
down,
this.
just down press row. Yep. It was crazy though.
Yeah.
It made me think of all the times that you would hear in the old 1.0 in the old Winnipeg Arena about opposing teams trying to hit the portrait of the Queen and how high up they could get it, or you hear about players trying to hit scoreboards, that sort of thing. Somehow this got deflected and it almost
Ehlers is always trying to, remember how many times he used to flip the puck up in the neutral zone?
Yes.
And I don't know if he's trying to hit the score, but he's trying to get out of trouble.
Very quickly before we get going, Samberg did speak about, trying to capitalize on the fact that the Sharks played last night. How important is that first goal? Well, we've seen the Jets be able to obviously come back kind of regardless, but for the Sharks, if the opponent scores first, so the Sharks are trailing first, their record this season, 2-27-4. So certainly that, never mind coming off of a back-to-back, the second game of a back-to-back, that is not a strong number.
Okay, so what we're wearing?
Yes. Very quickly.
Exclusive Winnipeg Jets Black History apparel, available exclusively at Jets Gear and TrueNorthShop.com. Shop.com. Shorp. Forgot how to speak. These are all available.
Yes, they
So,
look great.
nice
The
hat,
hat looks
nice
nice
hat.
on you
Got
as
some cool
well.
stuff on the
Pokey
wrist.
Reddick is here.
Yeah.
He's gonna do
He's the ambassador, puck drop, yeah, and
Puck
I had
drop
him on the
today.
podcast, so that's gonna be out this week.
Looking forward to
One
it.
story he did tell quickly
Yep.
before we go. He said, "Remember the old brown pads?" He said something. He made a save one time and they couldn't find the puck. He said Zinger found it in his goal pad, like it embedded itself into his pad.
It is crazy. We'll have to discuss more about some
Yeah.
of his stories afterwards.
Yes.
Because when you think about how little equipment
Yeah.
those goaltenders were versus what they are now, and I mean, it's crazy.
He
to me.
talked about how because it was deer hair that was in
Yeah.
the goal pads and it was like settle in spots, so there'd be like holes basically. And
Looking forward to that one. That
Yeah.
comes out this week.
that comes out this week. I can't
Look-
promise what day, but it's gonna be this week.
Okay, looking forward to that one as well. We will have a trailer and a preview for it when it does come out, because we are going to be back here Wednesday, Thursday, because the team is on the road. They're going to play in Ottawa, then Nashville, speaking of back-to-backs.
Yeah.
And then they are home Saturday against Philadelphia. Looking forward to that one. We only have a week and a half until trade deadline. There's so much to talk about. There are so many people on in the chat as well. We love to see so many of you there. Keep coming back.
Yeah, we missed you guys.
We do it. Okay.
Shucks.
Thanks everyone for checking in. We'll see you on Wednesday.